The trial was meant to kill him. 24 hours later, he was running a zoo of apex nightmares. The trial chamber was sterile white, built to withstand catastrophic biological exposure. Dr. Kai Marsh stood at its center, naked except for monitoring electrodes that tracked every heartbeat, every neural spike, every chemical fluctuation in his blood. The observation deck above held 17 scientists who had voted unanimously to terminate him if he survived the first 12 hours. He was a liability. His research into symbiotic organism integration had gone too far, or not far enough. Depending on perspective, 3 subjects had died screaming. 7 had become something undefined, something the ethics board voted couldn't be allowed to live. Kai alone had volunteered for the final trial. Exposure to a weaponized strain of the symbiote, one engineered for maximum invasiveness and speed. The release mechanism hissed. Kai felt them before he saw them. Thousands of microscopic organisms entering his respiratory system, attaching to neural tissue, beginning the cascade of integration that should have killed him in minutes. Pain came first, white-hot and comprehensive. His muscles seized, his vision fragmented. He screamed until blood ran from his mouth. 12 hours passed in agony. By hour 16, something shifted. The pain didn't diminish. It transformed, became information. His nervous system expanded. He could feel the organisms moving through his body like thoughts made manifest. They weren't invading him. They were becoming him. Or he was becoming them. The distinction seemed increasingly meaningless. Hour 23, his heart stopped. The observation deck went silent. Then it started again, not human rhythm, but something polyrhythmic, something working on multiple temporal frequencies simultaneously. Dr. Chun, the lead observer, leaned forward. "What are you?" she whispered into the chamber's communication system. Kai opened his eyes. They were no longer human. Pupils dilating into spiraling fractals, irises shifting through colors that had no names. When he spoke, his voice came in harmonics, 3 tones at once. "I'm alive," he said, "more alive than I've ever been." 24 hours after infection, Kai walked out of the trial chamber. The scientists expected him to collapse. Instead, he moved with fluid grace, his body achieving forms that biology shouldn't allow. His skin rippled with patterns, bioluminescent, pulsing, communicating in visible language. The quarantine protocols failed. Kai didn't force them. He simply knew they were insufficient, and the organisms within him compensated. Doors unlocked. Security systems went dormant. Not hacked, understood, rewritten from the inside. He walked to the research Annex 7, where the containment units held the specimens. The creatures they'd captured for weaponization studies. The ones they'd modified beyond recognition. The things that should have been incinerated instead of preserved. Kai opened every containment unit. The creatures emerged. Things with too many limbs. Things that existed partially in higher dimensions. Things that screamed in frequencies designed to induce madness. A specimen that fed on probability itself, creating localized regions where chance ceased to exist. Another that reproduced by consuming its own future. A third that saw in dimensions humans had no names for. Scientists fled. Alarm screamed. Military response teams mobilized. But Kai was already gone, and his new charges followed like pilgrims behind a saint. He found an abandoned genetic repository 300 kilometers distant, an old facility, scheduled for decommissioning, perfect for his purposes. The specimens adapted instantly to the environment. More than adapted, they began to thrive, to reproduce, to communicate. By day 2, there were more creatures. By day 4, Kai had expanded to 3 facilities. By day 7, he was acquiring specimens from underground collections, black market bioweapons divisions, classified military installations. Each creature added to his menagerie, each one finding its specialized niche in the growing ecosystem. He created a zoo, but unlike traditional zoos, these creatures were free to express their full nature, to breed, to evolve, to become versions of themselves that made their creators weep. The organisms within Kai served as translator, diplomat, symbiotic bridge between human intention and inhuman reality. He could speak to creatures that existed as living algorithms. He could negotiate with beings whose thought processes operated at quantum scales. He could understand the needs of things that fed on entropy itself. On the 14th day, Dr. Chin found him in the main observation facility. He sat elevated on a structure that wasn't quite furniture, surrounded by creatures that defied description. His form had changed again, more integrated with the organisms, less distinctly human. His voice was beautiful and terrible. "You created monsters," Chin said, her gun trembling. "No," Kai replied, his three-tone voice carrying absolute truth. "The organisms, and I created understanding. These creatures aren't monsters. They're solutions. Problems that your species hasn't learned to ask yet." He gestured, and the nearest creature, something with 17 eyes and a body that phased in and out of visible reality, moved closer to Chun, not threatening. Curious. "What do you want?" she whispered. "To show you what comes after humanity," Kai said. "Not replacement. Transcendence. The trial was meant to kill me. Instead, it opened a door. These creatures, this zoo, they're not specimens anymore." He smiled, and his teeth had become translucent, showing the organisms moving beneath the skin like bioluminescent stars. "They're the inheritance." Behind him, the creatures sang in frequencies that made reality itself shudder.